Hi everyone, this is Dr. Katherine.Kelly, and I just want to bring to you some information about seasonal affective disorder and how that affects us humans and how that affects us as souls. Now, it is early January, and so, well, mid-January, and this is about the time where if you are susceptible to seasonal affective disorder, that it starts to sink in, it starts to kind of hit, it starts to feel like you're grinding your way through. Now, that gets mixed in with basically the letdown from the holidays, that big rush that happens, and then you can kind of sink into not doing much of anything. And yet we have the start of the year, so there's this mental gearing up. There's all these different things that are happening at this time of year, but also with the weather, with whether it's the weather or the lack of sunlight. A lot of times people do have that seasonal affective, that winter blues kind of effect. Now, I am one of those people who gets a little bit of that seasonal affective thing. I discovered this way back when I was in graduate school and lived in Indiana, where it was gray and dark a lot for long periods of time. And so I have to watch out for it. And I know mid to late January, February, maybe early March, depending on how the winter is going, a lot of times I have that heaviness. I have that that kind of lead blanket thing, and that kind of low motivation and low interest and all that kind of stuff. And so I watch out for it, and I try to remind people to start watching out for it, because I have a lot of clients actually that really know that it deepens their depression or their anxiety or whatever's going on with them in general, that it feels worse during this time of year. And so I just want to kind of throw out there, from a soul perspective, this is another one of those opportunities to really step back and look at your discomfort and see where it's coming from. See what's coming up in the midst of this heaviness, this seasonal affective time. Because what happens is, when we are feeling kind of low and bad and low motivation, our old stuff comes to that surface. So the Pollyanna way of looking at it for me is that it's one more way that God, universe, whatever you want to call the powers that be out there, are trying to help us be uncomfortable enough to take a really good look at our lives, evaluate where we are, where we want to go, what it is that we want to do, how is it that we want to evolve. And it makes it really tough when we have that lead blanket on us. But we have to feel uncomfortable enough in order to start looking at how we want to change our lives. Now, I had a client come in the other day who we know that we keep an eye on it, but we know that she has seasonal affective, and we know that her depression is much worse during this time of year. And she came in the last few weeks. She's been great. She's been doing really well. She's been working on, moving forward and making some new decisions. And last week, or no, Monday, she came in and she was like, oh, my world's going to pot. My life is terrible. And we forget that the seasonal affective stuff can hit us like a brick. And, here in North Carolina, we've had some really dark, rainy days for the last couple of weeks, off and on. We've had a few nice days in between, but we forget that we are like cell phone batteries. We have to be fully charged in order to feel good and to run well. And so getting a little bit of that sunlight, getting a little bit of that clear sky, and being outside is a big part of coping through seasonal affective. Really, this is a time also to just reflect, a time to really take stock in what is your discomfort telling you? What is it that you need to be doing more of? Now, for seasonal affective disorder, I tell people, you got to keep up with the basics. You got to keep up with good nutrition, good sleep. You've got to get some physical activity. You got to get outside when you can, if it's sunny. And you have to use your therapy light. If you don't know what a therapy light is, if you look at a light therapy lamp, it'll tell you all of the information of what you need to know. But I think the thing is, we have to do the basics, but we also have to use this time to really step back and look at, okay, what is it that keeps coming up? What is it that I'm reacting to? What is it that is, I know I sound like a broken record, because it is, there's so many things that make us uncomfortable that are there to help us grow, but we've got to take stock. We have to step back and look at what our discomfort is telling us. And this heavy lead blanket that is on us from the seasonal affective, the winter months, the darkness, the grayness, that is there to kind of make us hunker down a little bit and really look at what is it that we change in our lives. And it doesn't have to be something huge. It's the little things. So is it that 20-30 minute walk a day? Is it eating a little bit better to get better nutrients so your body reacts better? Is it getting more water? Is it getting more social time? Now, the toughest thing when we are sad or depressed or feeling that seasonal affective thing is that a lot of times we don't want to do the things that are good for us. And yet those things that we do for us, even if they're small, make us feel better. So for instance, yesterday, Tuesdays and Fridays are when I usually go to the gym in the mornings. And I was slugging along. I was gonna go, but I was like, oh, I'm not really motivated to go. I didn't really want to, be around people. I didn't want to do all those kinds of things that happens when you have depression or seasonal affective. Ran an errand, got to the gym, ran into someone that I chat with once in a while there, and which was a little bit of a boost. Went and did my workout, and I felt like 120% better after I did my workout. And so it was one of those things where, again, I know those things make me feel better, but if I give in to the seasonal affective, then I'm going to keep slugging along. So what is it about seasonal affective and the soul? Everything that makes us uncomfortable as human beings is something we can grow from and evolve beyond. We have to remember that. We have to look at this human thing in 3D. Otherwise, we're going to get very, very mired in the human condition rather than moving above it and being able to move beyond it, really. So the reason I'm bringing this to you today is not only have I been feeling this a lot lately, but if I'm feeling it, usually a lot of other people are feeling it. And I just wanted to give you the reminder that this is a normal time of the year for us to feel this way. This is very typical, but it's also a time for us to kind of hunker down a little bit and really look at how do we want to make some small steps that will take us forward. Now, I know for me, come March-ish, April-ish, and we get more sunlight and we get more time outside, I start to feel so much better and I'm ready to rock. I'm ready to roll. So I try to give in a little bit to the reflection time in order to see where do I want to go? How do I want to gauge my life? How do I want to create something that really works for me? And so this time is a time to stay motivated for the basics, but it's also a time to kind of hunker down a little bit and reflect and see where you want to take your life. So just these reminders that if you are susceptible to seasonal affective, this is the time when it's going to be hitting the most. January, February, it usually starts to lift a little bit after that, but this is the time we've got to kind of push through and really, again, take care of the basics, but really reflect on, okay, what's one or two more things I can be doing to take care of myself and help me evolve, because otherwise we're going to get stuck. So I know this is one of those psychological / soulful kinds of videos, but it's showing you how the human condition and the soul interact and how we can keep moving forward to make use of our discomfort, which seems odd, but we do have that opportunity to make use of our discomfort. So hope this helps you. You have a wonderful day. Hope the sun comes out so that we can get a little break from this. But I will be back and I'll continue to provide some information about seasonal affective along the way. But make sure you're doing the basics, make sure you're pushing through a little bit of that heavy lead blanket, but then third, make sure you're doing a little bit of that reflection right now for what that conscious evolution means for you. All right, thanks so much. Have a good day.